That's really how Read with Carylee came about, trying to expose more diverse books and diverse authors to children. I grew up on The Cosby Show, A Different World, 227. You don't really see that even in children's books. Just like they say, if you build it, they will come. If you write it, they will read. If there is nothing written, then you don't know what people want.
Let's start at the beginning. Okay. So, what inspired you for the creation of Read with Carylee?
Well, the creation of Read with Carylee, I will say it has to start with my first book, Everyone Just Like Me. And that was actually inspired by my son. He was approached on the playground by a classmate who told him that he should only be playing with children of the same skin color. And that, he came home and told me that, and that didn't sit well with me. And, because I have often said, my family is like the United Nations. We have a whole lot of, nationalities and people that come together. And, my mom was really, my mother was light skinned. She could pass, as many would say. So I asked him, I said, what color is grandma? And he said, peach. And I asked him, what color am I? And he said, brown. And I said, well, if she's peach and I'm brown, she's my mother, she's your grandma. We could all be in the same family, so we could all be friends. And, that came to the creation of the book, Everyone Just Like Me. But even with Everyone Just Like Me, I started to find out, because I am now in the children's literature genre, that there weren't many books that were written for children of color. I even scanned back and was trying to remember where was the first book that I knew of that there were African American characters or Black characters. And the first book that I remember was Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, that I read in the 5th grade. So it took until the 5th grade that I really was able to resonate with a character in a book. That was, how I really came up with writing my books and getting passionate about diversity in children's literature. That's really how Read with Carylee came about. It's really trying to expose more diverse books and diverse authors to children.
I
Long
definitely
way around.
I definitely identify with that, especially with my media background, especially when it comes to representation.
Yeah.
Because, when we were growing up, we didn't have any superheroes that looked like us. I remember having a conversation with my mother about why aren't we Black? I was very young because, Luke Skywalker, Optimus Prime, just any superhero that you saw, either in comic books or on television and movies, they did not resemble us. So I thought that, maybe, being white would then give me a head start. And then that's what sort of got me, really into our culture.
Really having Black characters in a book and having authentic Black characters, that's a big part of what I'm doing with Read with Carylee as well. Even though we're up to almost 13% of children's books having representation, still of that 13%, only about 30% are actually written by us. So, in discovering that, the first thing that came to my mind was then, okay, so people are putting their stereotypes in the books that our kids read. And if you're seeing a book, just like with TV, if you're seeing a show with Black characters put in a bad light, then that's what you're going to think is the norm. Like, I grew up on The Cosby Show, A Different World, 227.
Family Matters. Yeah.
Exactly. Family Matters. Having those family shows where you saw different aspects, different walks of life. You had The Cosby Show with a doctor and a lawyer. You had Family Matters with Harriet that worked at a hotel, and Carl who was a police officer. And you don't really see that even in children's books.
Great points. I think that representation part. Again, to get kids to see themselves, and the one thing that's so rewarding is when somebody comes up to you, somebody that you've never met,
Yes.
and then they tell you something. It just makes you feel good, right? And you're doing a service.
Yes.
Do you believe that you're providing a service?
I do believe that I'm providing a service. Even with Read with Carylee, it's become more than me, because what I'm trying to do is really bring other authors and encourage other authors to write those books, those necessary stories that our children need. It's more than Dr. Seuss. It's more than Fun with Dick and Jane. It's more than Curious George or the Bernstein Bears. Love all of them. They're classics, but children today, they're getting into a whole lot more. So they need to learn a whole lot more and have that representation in a book so that they can play off of it with their life.
You are two-time Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce Nonprofit of the Year.
Yes.
Right. So what has that recognition meant to you, and how has being part of the NVBCC family helped elevate your work?
It really, really opened things up for me and made me really aware that, okay, this is more than just a hobby. This is more than just something that I'm just doing on the side. And I need to really even present myself as a CEO of a company. I think being a part of the NVBCC helps me to feel empowered to go out there and work with corporations. I've been able to work with the Washington Commanders, with the Washington Wizards, and not only am I seeing myself as a leader, I'm able to be around leaders, and especially around Black leaders. Even starting the cohort last year, February, it was really life changing and really helped me to know that my trajectory is up and the path that I'm going is definitely needed.
And of course, you're talking about the Economic Evolution Accelerator program that you
Yes.
were part of.
Uh-huh.
That, of course, you're featured in our wonderful video,
Yes.
for our PSA.
Uh-huh.
And so then, and you just spoke about it, but then do you remember one thing that you really got from the program that you still kind of stick with you today? I mean, obviously it was a lot,
Yeah.
that we threw at you guys,
Yes.
but you guys were prepared for it, because it's not for the faint of heart. This is
No.
not business 101. This is high level sort of education we were providing with tutelage and a pitch day and all these other things.
Yes.
But then what was the one thing that you said that you got out of the accelerator program?
And like I said, and it was early on. I think it was maybe the second class. I forgot her name, but I'm seeing her face in my head right now. And she was the one that really helped me to get out of the imposter syndrome. And I was just like, yes, I am a founder. I am a leader. I am doing something of importance. And, if anyone has anything to say about it, I'm like, okay, why don't you do it? I like walk a mile in my shoes and then we can talk.
Mm-hmm.
So that class, I would say is one that really stood out to me, because we had to say how we felt about where we were in our journey as entrepreneurs. And I remember I said, I think today was the first time that I actually really felt like I was an entrepreneur and not somebody that's just doing a hobby.
So with you being an author, right? And of
Yes.
course, we come from an analog stage when we used to have to write cursive, had
Uh-huh.
to write everything down. Now everything's on iPads, everything's on computers, things like that. But now we have AI,
Yes.
right? And Hollywood, they just went on a strike,
Hmm.
because the writer strike and the SAG strike, right? Because of influence of AI. How do you see AI sort of impacting your industry?
Well, AI is unfortunately impacting, especially children's literature. And I am in very many Facebook groups with authors, and this is a topic of discussion. On the business side, I do use AI to fine tune, emails, but it's kind of how you still need to put your voice to it. So, that is a way that I use AI. There are writers that use AI, which that's not something I would ever touch. I still think that there needs to be that human element because the emotion that is needed, or even the way that your style of writing, I don't think that that can be reproduced by I had someone actually comment on you name it, Graham made it, and they said, they love the way that the story flowed. There are some nuances in the book that AI wouldn't know because AI has never been to a black cookout, or a Thanksgiving. So you still do need that human element. There's some places where it is good, but I will say, for writing human characters, I think we should keep AI out of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, especially as a storyteller myself,
Yes,
and me continuously telling people, like you have to bring your human element because people invest in people and not in
exactly.
things. And even though AI is really clever and can definitely hit some emotions,
Mhm.
and especially in the video world, some of this stuff is starting to look more and more real,
Ooh,
but you are starting to get, the audience as we are getting more intelligent,
yeah,
and seeing things that are fake and that are flooded, and we really need to hone in on that human inside heart element. And that's the one thing that I
exactly.
don't think AI can bring is that heart. With you being a woman,
Yes.
minority author, with the current environment that we're
Yes.
in right now,
Mhm.
right? How has sort of DEI and also the restriction of books, because
Mhm.
now certain books are getting blacklisted,
Mhm.
aren't being able to be put in libraries because of some people's opinions on what the content is about.
Actually, have ended up on a banned list. My book, Pretty Hair and Maya Sings Country, I was supposed to have it sent down and do a video author visit to a school in Florida. And they wanted to see what book I was going to read because Pretty Hair, it touches on race, and so does Maya Sings Country. And they said, that would actually be on the list for banned books. And I was like, what? So, I was flabbergasted when that happened. But it is all about the community supporting. I had the pleasure of being at the U.S. Black Chamber Conference. An executive from Amazon, a Black executive from Amazon, he said that we are in a space now, well, we're in a time now where diversity is sort of a bad word for some people. And there are some people, some Black people, who won't use diversity because they are afraid that their job may be taken, or they may be blacklisted. And that is all a part of my platform. That is all a part of my brand. And at first, when this came up earlier this year, I I used ChatGPT to see what other words I could use besides diversity. And it gave me some suggestions, but I said, that's stepping away from the core of what I do. And if we are going to bow to the will of people who don't understand. They don't understand why we have a need to say, you know, Black books matter. And it's not that we're saying that um that books about animals or whatever doesn't matter, but as one of the authors that I actually met yesterday, she said that she started writing in 2005. She went to a publisher and was told that there's no market for Black books. She's like, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to sit on shelves and your books will be returned. And yesterday, Kennedy Ryan had a meet and greet and a signing at Mahogany Books during the Black Books Matter Fest. There was a line around the block. And just like they say, if you build it, they will come. If you write it, they will read. And if there is nothing written, then you don't know what people want. I'm like, you don't know that you have a taste for something unless you taste it. So this is something that I will continue to speak out about. My TED talk was on diversity in children's literature and sharing a bit about my journey in the space.
And that's why I love what I do. I'm an advocate for diversity in children's literature because I believe in the power of a story. And I believe that the right story can open hearts and change minds now.
I think I kind of want to just say it a whole bunch of times, like diversity, diversity, diversity. It's not going anywhere. You know, if we don't say it, it's not going to disappear. We're not going to, just go away in the mist somewhere. We are Black, brown, yellow, whatever, like whatever hue. We are many hues. It's not that we are just, one over here, one over here. We are a multitude of people. And if we are wanting to do away with diversity, then you know what? We might as well do away with the entire human race. We've always been here.
What would be at least one challenge, that you've overcome that you would like another author, or another artist,
Mhm.
maybe not to face if you were to give them a gem?
A lot of authors that step into the realm of children's book publishing, they get discouraged after, especially they write their first book, and they hear about authors selling 500 books in a week, or 1,000 books in a week, and they put their book out there on Amazon and they have the big campaign, and they may pay someone to do their campaign, and they sell 20 books, and it's all friends and family. Many people are mostly supported by people that they don't know, and the people that they do know, they're just like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I was waiting until it got big. I was waiting until you got a discount. But one person may buy the book today. A year from now, you may get an order of 500, and it ebbs and flows like that. So I would tell an author or an entrepreneur, keep on going. There's going to be someone that needs your story. Yesterday, I underestimated my audience, and I only brought out 21 copies of Pretty Hair. It was sold out in the first 3 hours. And I had 2 hours left, and I'm like, there were so many people that were coming up and they were telling me, oh, I have a biracial daughter, or I have a biracial granddaughter. And I was just like, oh, okay. Um, well, Pretty Hair sold out, but you could find it on the website, you know.
Well, that had to feel
So,
good though.
thinking that you didn't do well in your first year, give yourself some grace and not to rhyme, but continue the race.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you again for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We have some more episodes coming up. It's going to be very exciting. This is the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce. You can reach us at www.northernvirginiabcc.org or NVBCC on all of your platforms. Thank you, and see y'all next time.